Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the delay. Had a knock at the door, which almost never happens at this time. And you always wonder, right? I remember when I first started decoding back in 2012, and some of the stuff that the Most High was revealing to me, I thought was so damaging to the controllers of this world that one day I was going to get a knock at the door. And very quickly, though, you learn to walk in faith and no fear. I see a lot of fear in people, afraid to talk about some of this stuff, afraid to share it, afraid to basically stand up because they don't want any problems. And look, I understand that fear because as I'm explaining to you right now, I went through it. But as the revelations kept coming, there was no knock at the door. There was no syringe in the neck and the end of my life. And so I realized that there is protection for people that choose to stand up for the Most High. There are spiritual rules, and God does protect you. You just have to have faith. So the person at the door was simply coming to get water, buckets of water for my neighbor who has not turned his water on yet, who needed water. And I realized that this is all about the water, and it always has been. Little signs and clues. If you're just still and you look and you hear God's voice, He reveals to you all of the little secrets of the matrix. It's always been about the water. Now, I'm shaking right now because tomorrow's show will be about how iPetGoat 2 predicted the Titan implosion. This just hit me as there was a knock at the door for water. This top image is a scene from iPetGoat 2. And at this precise timestamp of the animation, this was 2012, you guys. There's a faint voice in the soundtrack, and it says, reduction pressure. Look at this. Look at this. This is the ocean gate next to it. Look at the rivets in the hull of Ocean Gate. Look at the rivets in the image. You can't make this up. Look at the straps going around the hull. Look at the straps going around the hull. Look at the basic shape. Even these hoses in the top form. This is just unbelievable. Reduction pressure in the soundtrack at this precise moment where this image is taken. We will break that down tomorrow. And that's why I'm shaking, because this all just hit me about 15 minutes ago, which is another reason why I'm late. Now, we had documented the reduction pressure phrase in the soundtrack back in 2013. Many of you who follow the channel will remember, and we did that. I'm going to play it for you. Listen. I got to be careful here because iPetGoat 2 has now, copyrighted their soundtrack. And I'm going to play you the part right here. It's literally right after you saw Ocean Gate, literally. I hope you heard that. Reduction pressure. Now, back in 2013, when we documented this, it almost sounded like after she said reduction pressure, that she said November 6th is what it sounded like. We weren't sure. But what's clear to me is that the old woman is in the tower behind a gate, like Ocean Gate. Right? I mean, this is crazy. Well, I had to put the sound on Aura because you had to hear it say reduction pressure. Thanks, Mac TV. Yeah, time flies, doesn't it? We've been around a long time. Now, all this has come to pass. Now, of course, the image of the tower doubles. Here's the image of the tower here. I just turned it sideways is all I did, so you could see the side-by-side comparison to the OceanGate Titan submarine. This tower doubles also as the Blue Origin's rocket Bezos went up in. And we did a video on that as well. Remember, iPetGo 2 has many interpretations. I don't believe really any of them are wrong. I think there are many interpretations. It's layered. It's nested. The woman in the tower that you just saw even has a booster boot on one of her shoes, just like the woman who went up in space on Blue Origins. She also had a booster shoe. So there was another prediction. Now, what is this about? Well, obviously, this is about above and below. Above Blue Origin's rocket, below OceanGate Abyss. What are they trying to do? They're trying to open the portals, the keys to the abyss. Above the upper waters and below the lower waters. Now, we're going to cover all this tomorrow. I don't want to get off track here. Let me check in with you guys. Shocking information here. Now, we all remember that soundtrack from iPetGo 2, the creepy, rhythmic, pulsating beat. Well, that soundtrack that you just heard was by a group called the Tanuki Project. Are you ready for this? 4 years ago, on November 6th, the very date that you heard in the soundtrack from iPetGo 2 2012, they released Money Snake. Look at this. Reduction Pressure, November 6th. Money Snake. And this is the music video that we are going to look at today. Money Snake. With the soundtrack, the same people that made iPetGo 2 soundtrack, the Tanuki Project, also made the soundtrack for this music video that we're going to break down today. The music video is 3 minutes and 32 seconds long, and again, it released on November 6th, 2018. And if you break down that date, it is 11/6/666. 11/6/666, which is 20, which is 18. 18 is 6 times 3, right? Now, of course, now we got to find ourselves in the timeline, right? Because through the timeline, we expose the enemy. So 2018 was 2 full years before the pandemic, was it not? Yet, this music video that you're going to see next mentions plague. It mentions shots. And it depicts Trump as a money-hungry snake president, selling out to the pharmaceutical industrial complex. Now, I will turn the sound off on this, and I will make sure that, let's make sure the closed captions are on so you can at least see the, hold on here, subtitles. I want you to be able to see the subtitles here. There we go. I'm going to make them, okay, that's 100%. Let's make them a little bit, 100% is probably good. I'll just zoom in if I need to. Now, this is it, just before the pandemic now. Something weird is going on. Because a tanuki, are you ready for this, is a Japanese raccoon dog. Tanuki. Japanese raccoon dog. So what, Casey? What does that have to do with anything? Because raccoon scrambled is corona. Yes, you can spell raccoon with one C. It's an acceptable spelling. And when you scramble that, it spells corona. Tanuki Project, all the way back in 2012, already knew the agenda. Now, this raccoon dog is known as a shapeshifter. Look at this. And it is a variant of another raccoon dog. This raccoon dog that was directly blamed for the COVID-19 pandemic. The only difference between this raccoon dog and the other raccoon dog is that this raccoon dog is from China and the other is from Japan. A tanuki is from Japan. But as you can see, both of these raccoon dogs have the same genus. It's called Nycterudes. Nycterudes and Nycterudes. They're essentially the same raccoon dog. So how did Tanuki Project know this? How did they know to name their group the Tanuki Project in anticipation of the corona? Well, that's what we're going to break down today. I've yet to realize if these guys are on our side or not. We do know the enemy reveals things, but very, very few people ever figure it out. So what's the use of revealing it if nobody figures it out? If they were on our side, they would have just come out and told us what was going to happen. Right? To warn people. Tanuki Project means raccoon project. And who knows, maybe this is some kind of experiment to see how many people pick up on this stuff. Now, the controllers have since shied away from this raccoon dog theory, of course, but it was once a theory. Early on, you'll remember we covered this, didn't we? As the ship was coming in through the harbor in San Francisco, the very, very beginning of the pandemic, we covered the raccoon dog. And I wish I was making all this up, but the people of the Tanuki Project knew COVID was coming and that Trump would be the president under which it happened. And you're going to see that here as we go through this music video. Tanukis are able to shapeshift into humans and possess them, according to ancient Japanese myth. Let me check in with you guys and we're going to get started. Good morning, everybody. There's been some hard-hitting videos lately, hasn't it? But you'll realize too that every bit of information, every piece of information is part of the puzzle, right? Every day that we come on here, it's part of the puzzle. This is why every single video is important. We wouldn't have got here unless every single video wasn't being looked at. Now, the first thing I saw here, let's play this through. Here is the beginnings of Money Snake by the Tanuki Project. I'll put links to all this. The first thing that I noticed was the way that they stylized the phrase money snake. Let's see here. Now this is Trump driving through the skyline. And what you see here is a clock tower, which is in the shape of a needle. And then Money Snake appears on the screen. And what I noticed was the stylization of the letters E, Y, and S. And they're stylized to look like the actual currency symbols, aren't they? The S is the dollar, the E is the euro, and the Y is the yuan. The very same three countries or continents that were hit the hardest by COVID. The next thing I noticed was the clock tower syringe that was at 11 seconds that I just showed you. Then 666 appears on Trump's license plate at exactly 19 seconds. Can't make it up. 19 seconds. Snake 666 with Texas on there. Of course, 19 is COVID-19, right? Then I noticed the front of his car at 24 seconds. And to me, it is the basic shape. What is the shape of the front of this car? I want to get you guys involved in these decodes because I can't just be telling you all this. You have to see it for yourself. That gives validity to the decode so that you know we're not making it all up. Look at the syringe in the background with the clock on it. Remember, he's Biff, Back to the Future. Look at where the clock is. 10:04. That's 88. Remember? 10:04 on the clock tower in Back to the Future is what the clock tower struck when Marty got up to 88 miles an hour and jumped through time. Remember? And 88 is that Trump number. But also in the calendar, if you look at the date 10/4, October 4th, it has 88 days left in the year. They took us through a portal. That's what they did. Now let me go in the chat and see who could figure out what the front of his car looks like so that people know I'm just not stretching stuff and making it up. This is very important. All right, let's see here. I don't know where everybody went today. This is probably one of our most important videos ever. But this is what they do. They won't send out notifications after hard-hitting videos. What is the front of the... It's a crown. Absolutely, it's a crown, isn't it? So all of you saw it. It's not just people making it up. Let's keep going here. Good job, you guys. Then at 29 seconds, we finally see Trump as a snake inside of this vehicle. The window goes down and we see Trump as a reptilian. Then at 31 seconds, what does he do? He drives up to the front of a Walmart. And he offers money to a goat. One of the workers is like the anthropomorphic shape of a goat. Now, in case you didn't know, 80% of the products sold in Walmart are from China. And during the pandemic, there was a huge power grab, wasn't there? Because all the little businesses could not keep up with all the rules, the plexiglass, the smack the nations, the shutdowns. But guess who was allowed to stay open and had the money to meet all of those rules? It was Walmart. And during the pandemic years, you can look this up yourself. Nothing that I say today is made up. The stock prices surged from 2020, from the day of the lockdowns all the way through the pandemic, the China Walmart stock prices surged because Walmart was allowed to stay open during the entirety of the pandemic, which edged out all the small businesses, and it was a huge power grab. Many of those small businesses are gone forever. They will never come back. So here, Trump is depicted as controlling Walmart with his money. The unholy alliance with Walmart. And that unholy alliance is an alliance with China, who got rich because people had no other options. You all remember, never ever forget. Trump doesn't really hate China. He made China rich. Not only did he make China rich through Walmart, he made China rich through Amazon, who has 60% of its products that come from from China. This music video, in case you're just tuning in, released an entire year before the pandemic. Trump then eats the goat Walmart worker and drives off. Then at 47 seconds, he gives birth to a reptilian egg. This is unbelievable. Next to him is a book that says Fire and Fury, which of course is FF, which are the letters or the number 66, just like his 66th floor Apollo penthouse. FF66. He gives birth. Now, keep an eye on these lyrics here. In fact, I'll make them a little bit bigger for you guys because this is important. I want you to be able to see the lyrics because they're actually singing lyrics here. My wallet is my ego. My ego never quit. He lays the egg on top of Russia. Look at this, sickle and hammer. Now this sickle and hammer was also depicted in I, Pet, Go 2. Remember, there's a man drowning in some toxic soup, and he's holding a hammer and sickle. So what does this represent, this egg being laid on top of this Russian symbol here? Well, I think it symbolizes his secret alliance with Russia. Out of the egg comes money. Most people don't realize is Trump has always had very close ties to the Russian mob. In fact, his tenants in Trump World Tower, many of them were Russian mobsters. This is unbelievable. Out comes the money. Hatched a plan. Now at 1:28, we see the twin Trump Towers. Talks about shedding his skin. Look at this. 2 staircases. Let's zoom this up for you guys. They come up and you have twin Trump Towers. Now, I believe this is disclosure. We've always thought that he had something to do with 9/11, didn't we? We get a couple more syringes. They call it Snake Tower. There's a missile there. I don't know what that's about. But then at 1 minute 47 seconds, he pulls out a briefcase. And on the briefcase, it says, I love Stormy Daniels. Also got a cannabis leaf with the flag on it. And unfortunately, that's what's happened to America. I don't judge people who smoke cannabis, but it's become a control mechanism for so many people, causing a dependency where you can get it from. It's all been federalized. corporations are taking over, pushing out small cannabis farmers. If you have cannabis or use it, you can't operate a gun. You can't have a gun. So they've taken away your gun rights. And sadly, many people are very, very dependent on this. That's probably what that cannabis leaf means with the flag on it. Another mechanism of control. We needed to decriminalize cannabis, not federalize it. And I think everybody can agree, even cannabis users. But yet, they took the bait, and now it's another control mechanism. Then at 2:01, we get a mention of the coming plague. I almost couldn't believe this. A symptom of the plague to cure the city's ills. Now, the video also mentions girls and boys a couple times, suggesting some kind of child trafficking, which was another theory we've had for a very long time. And then the bombshell. They talk about a shot. This is unbelievable. When do they talk about the shot? At 6:66 in the video, or 2 minutes and 16 seconds. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216, you guys. Now I'll put a link to this music video for you guys so you can look at it yourself and hear it and see it with your own eyes. 2 minutes and 16 seconds. You know, many people have asked me, is it the mark? Is it the mark? Well, 666 is the mark of the beast. Do you want a shot? Right there. This was 2 years before the pandemic. Now, what's happening in this scene here? Well, those 3 reptilians that you saw playing cards, Trump comes for them to kill them. But what he does is he eats them. So he's the biggest reptilian of them all, eating up all the power. We do know that reptiles eat each other. Snakes eat each other, don't they? So he is really high up on the scale, isn't he? So one of the reptilians comes out onto the porch because they know that Trump is coming for them. And so he's pointing the gun at this fountain, this water fountain. As they say, do you want a shot? What does the water fountain represent? That's a portal. Remember, the Smurfs came through the fountain. Gargamel was in the fountains, under the Eiffel Tower syringe. It just goes on and on, you guys. God help us for all the people that have been deceived by this man. God help us all. Because the deception is costing people their lives. Do you want a shot to brave the bread of Babylon, the pile on which I squat? The reptilian doesn't see anything on the porch, but there's Trump above him. He swoops down and he eats them. At this point, he becomes engorged with these reptilians as he eats all of them. And then he leaps off of Snake Tower. So that means that was destined to take the fall, maybe? He becomes engorged after eating all of them. Maybe he was destined to take the fall. Like, that was the whole psyop. It's amazing to me when I hear people saying, oh, he must be good. Look how much the left is coming after him. You guys, that's why they do it. It's a psyop to make you believe that he's in trouble, and it legitimizes him. He leaps off of Snake Tower, all engorged after eating all the reptilians. There it is right there, Snake Tower. But before he jumps off, one last blasphemy, one last curse to God in heaven. He opens his pants to the Most High with dollar symbols in the clouds. This is just unbelievable. He's a God on earth, and this is how people treat him. And then he was about to explode from all the gluttony, and there he goes skydiving off the Snake Tower, and splat, and all the money comes out. Wow. Now, what does all this mean? I think we broke it down pretty thoroughly. Unless there's anything that I missed. But here's the confirmation. Music by Tanuki Project, the same credits that were at the end of I Pet Goat 2. Tanuki means raccoon dog or corona dog. Unbelievable. All right, you guys. Tomorrow's show will be even more powerful than this one, because we're going to show you more disclosure from I Pet Goat 2 with the Titan implosion reduction pressure. When will people step outside of the right-left paradigm? When will they realize that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are just puppets to trigger your desire to see a contest, your desire to see your side win, that plays to your ego and pride? When will people wake up? Both sides are working together. We don't need a leader. We need Jesus Christ. We need the Most High. Maybe God's waiting for us to finally choose him. Maybe he's waiting for all of us to write on the ballot, Jesus Christ, return. Maybe that's what he's waiting for. We keep believing the liars and the puppets, don't we? Wow. Okay, I'm in the chat with you guys. Remember, I've told you that, all the decodes we did on money, greenbacks, it's actually a fungus. It's named after a fungus or a lichen that grows on a tree. Remember, we talked about the dollar sign shaped like a serpent wrapped around a pole, and all the pushback we got. Casey, it's okay to want money. It's just the love of money that's the root of all evil. Well, guess what? If you love money, if you have lots of money, it means you love it. You don't just get money by not loving it. The people that have a lot of money in this world are the ones that love money. Plain and simple, you guys. If you actually want to look in the mirror, try this. Go into the mirror and say with your own mouth that people that have a lot of money don't love money, and you'll see the lie as you're staring in the mirror trying to say it with a straight face. The people in this life that want them, that's how the devil has set it up. He controls the money. He only gives it out to the people who love it. You don't get money just by standing there, okay? You just don't. That's why Jesus said, sell everything and follow me. Didn't he? This is why he said it is harder for a rich man to get to heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the needle of an eye. Which Trump addressed directly when asked, how are you going to get to heaven because you're rich? And he says, we're working on a bunch of camels. He spent hundreds of millions of dollars working on little microscopic camels, he said. What the heck is that about? And then remember, we exposed all that too, about what that was about. He was basically talking about the pandemic, because we found that SARS, the vector for SARS, is inside of a camel. This was back in 2016. He already knew. Okay, wow. Whoa, Tanuki Project worked with Donald K. Donald Group. Are you kidding me? Wow. I'll have to confirm that. Man, you guys, my people perish from lack of knowledge, and I know that's been changed. My people destroyed. Some versions still say perished. All right. What else is going on, you guys? Is there anything else we should talk about today? Go back to 2 Samuel, the first mention of a king in the Bible. I would just read the whole thing. Read 2 Samuel. The Israelites were begging God for a king. They wanted a king on earth. They wanted an intermediary between God and them. God told them, you want a king? This is what's going to happen. Your sons will be put in the front lines of battle and will die before the kings. The kings will take your money and your first fruits. Something to that effect. You got to go back and read it. But he basically warns them with a prophecy of what will happen if you choose a king. And ever since 2 Samuel, the world has had kings, and it's exactly what they do. They fleece the people. We're supposed to choose the Most High as our king. Imagine this. Imagine you're a parent, and your 3-year-old child who you gave birth to says to you, Mama, I don't want you to be my mom anymore. I want the neighbor to be my mom because she's nicer. Imagine the heartbreak that you would feel. But if you loved that child like the Most High loves us, you would let that woman act as the mother just to retain the love of your child. And that is what God felt like when we choose kings over him. That's what he feels like. Man, I think we'll leave it at that. Heavy show today, you guys, but these are tough talk. This is stuff you need to hear going into these last days. All of it you need to hear, because it puts things in perspective for you so that you can choose who you want to serve. It's not a man, a billionaire. Why people feel so strongly about supporting billionaires they don't care about us. Yes, love does not force, David. I had a similar story. Why fight the parent who is aggressively trying to steal your children's love? Let them have the child. Let the child grow up. Then the child will understand one day. This is why Max is coming back to me. Take care and be safe, you guys.